Hi, welcome to another episode of You're Kind of a Big Deal. I'm Peggy Berry Bartz, and my guest today is Tom Daigle, and I'm holding a pink light bulb. And as most of you know, I believe that we all have the light of God inside us, and we are to shine it to other people. And today, the pink light bulb has a special significance, and that's why Tom is here, and he's going to explain to us why I'm holding a pink light bulb. Hi, Tom.
How are you?
Welcome.
Good. Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm going to set this down, otherwise I might drop it, and then we'll have one less pink light bulb in the world.
Well, the pink light bulb, my wife was recently diagnosed with cancer, stage 4 ovarian cancer, and I was sitting around the house one afternoon, and just all the things that have happened, you know, through the cancer, finding out the tumors, the surgeries, and just the support we got from friends and family was amazing. It was incredible. And being at the hospital back and forth, seeing all the other people that weren't as fortunate as me, I kind of had this idea. Well, how do people get through all this? Because it's just devastating. I mean, if just your life changes in the blink of an eye, 100%.
Yes, and I know this firsthand. Amazingly, I'm so sorry that I know this, but my little brother is stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So, the changing of your life it happens overnight.
It does, and you know, it just was. It was unbelievable, just the support and the people and the friends that I had that reached out to us. You know, it was just nice to have that, because it was the most difficult time in our lives. You know, you're trying to get your hands around, is this person going to live? What's my life going to be like without her? You know, how do you not lose the person you love? You know, it's tough.
Yeah.
Now, death is no good. Sickness is terrible. But, so the idea with the pink bulb was, how could those people I saw at the hospital, I didn't have anybody walking with them, talking with them. I never let my wife spend one night in that hospital alone, and that was my promise to her when she got sick.
Oh.
You know, so on a good note, pink bulbs, it was just, I wanted to create a way that maybe somebody in the neighborhood could help if they didn't have family. So, hey, the color pink, you know, I didn't know much about cancer. I guess now I find out it's breast cancer color.
Yes. Oh, and you didn't know that at the time?
No.
Okay. Well, pink is sort of a girl color.
Yeah, I like that. My wife's a lady, so I kind of thought, okay, I'll go with a pink light bulb. Maybe if somebody would get the idea eventually, if people put pink bulbs in their porch lights, that, hey, I need to be reached out to. Maybe somebody could come over, a neighbor, and notice, hey, could you cut their grass for them? Maybe pick up their mail, take them to chemo.
Make a meal.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or share their stories of survival. You know, they
Okay.
might be a cancer survivor. Give them some inspiration. You know,
Oh, so even people who have survived cancer.
get a pink bulb.
Okay.
Go to the website. I'll send you one in a little prayer card. We have these little prayer cards. My wife came up with a little prayer that she liked, and kind of tells you what our little
And these
pink
will fit
bulbs
in
is
your
about.
wallet.
Yeah, keep them.
Good. This is called Pink Bulb, Shining a Light on an Illness That Affects Us All, which it does affect all of us.
It's unbelievable.
One porch light at a time, changing lives.
Yeah,
Project Jewels. So you have not only a website,
correct.
pinkbulbs.org, but you have a Facebook page.
I do.
Which is a great way to use,
It's nice.
get some PR.
Yeah, I can do that. And the reason for the Facebook page is as I started there, and I just kind of put my idea out there, and I got so many great responses. Oh my gosh, it's a wonderful idea. So as Project Jewels on the Facebook page, I'm able to put things that I've researched over the last 6 months on there, things that are curing people with cancer, things that people need to know, so they could go to that page and actually read all the wonderful things that I've researched and done. It would save them time. And effort.
We need to get this out. Oh yeah, we're on TV, so we are getting it out.
And
This is
as
wonderful.
well.
So you have not only about your Project Jewels on there, but you have help for people
Oh, yeah.
and
A lot of good
resources
stuff.
and you know, in Lake Orion. Well, the story of how I met Tom is one of those, shall we say, serendipitous moments. I was in here talking to Joe and Tammy, who amazingly has pink on today as we're filming this, and there was a gentleman sitting at the table all by himself, and I was jumping around like I usually do talking. And I said, "And what are you doing here, sir?" and
That's
told
what
him I was the fairy godmother of Lake Orion, to which he probably thought, what kind of town is this, Lake
And
Orion?
I was drawn to you immediately.
And so I didn't want to disinclude him from all the fun and conversation, so I just started talking to him. And Tammy said, Peggy, you need to talk to him. He does this thing with pink light bulbs. Like, what? And here you are. And I said, oh, Tom, we need to do a show about this. How amazing.
Yeah.
And there's a wonderful group in Lake Orion called A Mother's Wish. And I'm going to put you in contact with those people because they help women who have no one to help them financially, sometimes spiritually. And it was started by a wonderful group of people here in Lake Orion. It's called A Mother's Wish. They do all kinds of things, and you're going to be at their next event with your
great.
light bulbs,
Love
and
it.
you guys are going to interact, and all kinds of amazing things can happen because we left the door open. Now, you have an interesting story of your background, and a little later in this, we're going to show the video that you made for your beautiful wife. So you are here now, right this minute, because of all the things that transpired in your life.
I believe that to be true. You know, I've had a rough start, and as most people, some people have it easier, some have it tough life, but yeah, mine was a little rough at the start. We're
going to let the people watch the video and tell your whole story, but I want you to go back to that park bench in the video and tell me what God said to you, which was, I was watching your video going, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a time in my life where, you know, the drugs and alcohol, and I had several chances to kind of kick it and never could. I just couldn't get away from it. So I was kind of tough loved from the family. Get out, go figure it out. We can't, our hearts are broken. We can't save you anymore. Go die, get it over with, basically. And I didn't blame them. At the time I was mad, but we had tried everything else and nothing was working. So I was kicked out. Pete, I think I was 29 years old. And not to say they gave up on me, Peggy, but they were done helping me ruin myself. So it was a tough love. So I grabbed what little bit of clothes I had, and I was carless, jobless at the time, had nothing. And I went for a walk, and I found a park bench. And I always believed there was a God, but I never really had a relationship with him. And while I was crying to him at that park bench going, okay, where am I going to go tonight? How am I going to eat? Where am I have nothing. You know, my whole life is destroyed. It was always, why me? Why am I the one who's addicted to drugs and alcohol? And I'm telling you, and I can share this with you because I know you're of faith, that a voice spoke to me. And I've always heard people say, oh, God talks to people. Well, he talked to me. I heard the voice. I mean, it was like you and I speaking.
You know, it's time to stop apologizing when people hear the voice of God or a voice and they know it's not from inside, it is from inside, but you know that you're being spoken to. There's so many people who have this story. There's many books. So I'm done saying, don't apologize for it. So I'm done saying, no, that doesn't happen. It does happen.
It did happen to me.
And if we go back to stories in history, people had dreams that came from angels. They had angels appear to them. So why wouldn't this happen in 2013 or 14? It happened back in the time of Jesus. It happened before Jesus. It happened afterwards. People hear God speaking.
That's right.
And you know because your heart tells you.
So
anyway, and God said,
he said, what do you do for me? And I heard it, and it was gone.
What do you do for me?
Because it was me always saying, why me? Poor me. Why is this happening to me? Why am I addicted? Why can't I get away? What do you do for me? And it really hit me, and I still think about it today. What do you do for me? Well, then I had to go find out. So as the story goes on in my life, I had met my wife 2 weeks prior to this moment in my life, and she had no idea I was addicted to drugs. I had her number. I went to a payphone, and it's probably in the video, and they'll see that. And I called her, and she came and got me. I told her my family was mean and rotten. They kicked me out. I got nowhere to go. They took away my car, everything.
Oh, but you didn't tell her all the details.
Oh, no. No. But then that Sunday, I asked her if she'd go to church with me, and she did.
Just out of curiosity, did you tell her? You didn't tell her that you just had a conversation with God?
I take that back. She knew prior to that because my brother had called her and told her I was an addict to run.
Oh.
He knew I was living with her.
Okay.
So he told her to get away, and she cried. She didn't want to be in a relationship with a drug addict either, so she asked me to leave. As I cried to her and begged her for one more chance, that I thought I could finally get past this addiction. Let me go find out what this guy's talking about. Let me go find out what he wants. Let's just go to a church. Maybe I'll get a divine message.
Okay.
And I can honestly tell you, I was addicted to crack cocaine for 13 years. Couldn't get away from it. Every time I get a paycheck, my car would go it wouldn't go home. It would go to the drug streets in the neighborhoods.
Wow.
It was horrible. But so the day I left that church that Sunday, you know, teary-eyed in church, listened to the message a preacher gave me. But for 13 years, 2 rehab centers, preachers, friends, family trying to tell me how to get away from this addiction, it immediately was gone for me. I never wanted to use. I never had the urge to use again. So I continued to go back to that church, and I went there for 10 years.
Wow, but it was nothing special the preacher said that day. It was just some overwhelming
I listened to what he
acceptance.
said. Come see what I have for you as a son. Come see.
Wow.
And it changed my life.
Wow.
100%.
And a random church, you just picked one.
Yep.
Amazing. What an amazing story. It's not a surprise then that I ran into you
No.
at the right moment.
No,
and your
and I
pink light
connected
bulbs.
with you immediately. You know, you just got that sparkle.
Oh! That's too funny. I forgot my sparkle pen. Most of the time I wear it.
Yeah, you're a little angel. Or,
Oh my goodness. Well, you know, one of the reasons I started this show is because there's so many things that happen that show us God is right here in the middle, playing with us, doing all these fun things. And I'm tired of hiding it. It's just time to say it.
oh, it's wonderful. I think it's great to get messages out there like that.
Yeah,
there's
and
so
I
many.
really believe that what we're supposed to do is help each other.
Yeah.
When we have something that we can share or something that's happened to our life, we get to say, hey, this is something that happened to me. You tell me what's happened to you, and we can share, and it really works. Everything is really, truly connected. I
Yeah.
believe that. So, yes, I brought pink tulips today.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I like tulips. I love roses because, you know, I love roses. All women love roses, I think. But tulips start in a really interesting way. And every fall, I put these brown, papery looking, they look like an onion, into the ground at least 6 inches. And if you do it right, you don't have to do it every year, but I like more tulips. So you put these ugly things in the ground, and then you cover them with dirt, and then the winter comes and the snow, and this winter more snow. And then in the spring, these little things start coming, and
They're
a
beautiful.
flower shows up. I'm
Isn't that
still
awesome?
amazed. I know
Yeah.
it works. It's a science. But
Every
I love
year.
tulips. And so sometimes people are like tulips, and we are all closed up in a little bulb of our life, and something happens, or somebody decides to, and amazingly, you have to go into a hole to be a tulip.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
go into the dark.
And you do, and I would agree. You know, as I learned with my addiction too, you know, sometimes rock bottom before you move forward again, you know, you got to hit the bottom. And that time in my life, it was, you know, I wanted to kill myself. I didn't want to be alive anymore because I didn't want to let just want to be a disappointment to somebody. My wife would kindly tell me over the years, you know, why do you got to tell people you were a drug addict? And I said, honey, who can I help if I don't share where I've been in life? I mean, even if I can just touch one person, or somebody calls me and my kid's using drugs, Tom, and they went through what I put my mother through, I can't go share my story with that person. I might save him from blowing his head off, or you know, a little rough there, but kill himself, take his life. But to be there to help somebody, they won't. If I can't share where I've been, then I can't help people. And it's all about helping people today. And it's kind of like I've already helped people with this little pink, and it's not a moneymaker. I don't want a dollar. I'll never take a dime. I'd be poor before I ever took a penny of the profits, because there's a donation page on there. But I use the money to pay for the bulbs, get the prayer cards, go out and reach out to people who need help.
Right.
And I'll use that for the benefit of all.
Good. And you know what? I have a feeling this is going to grow, just like tulips grow. And if you leave them in the ground, they actually multiply and they grow more tulips the next year. Did you know that?
No.
Yes.
Didn't know that about them.
Yeah. Most
love
plants
tulips.
do that. Yes, they do.
They remind me golf season's coming.
Golf season is coming. Yes. Do you carry these like all the time with you when you go places?
I don't. I have. I order a bunch of them at my office because that's where I kind of send them out from. So
Okay.
I have a box full of them.
Now, I understand also that you don't belong to any one church. I'm sort of a fan of that, those
like
of
it.
you who know me. I sort of am everywhere. I call myself an interdenominational minister. But you also do like a little class at your house.
Yeah, I do Bible studies.
Tell me how that like morphed into you were going to a place.
Yeah, I started off with the Church of Christ in Walled Lake, and again, you know, I got my message, and so I kind of religion intrigued me at that point in my life. Okay, I found out about what this gentleman's telling me about God.
The gentleman from the church.
Church, the preacher. Let me find out, well, I want to find out what God says about things. So it wasn't so much I wanted to listen to a preacher, although they're very educational, but I didn't want to know what somebody had taught this person in school, or I wanted to go right to the source. I'm kind of like I've always been that way. Let me go see what God wants from me. If a 5-year-old could read, and I could read a Bible, then I could figure it out. The most part. It can be a little difficult at times.
So you had never, really in your life, picked up a Bible before?
No, I would say not.
So it was like, here's a book. It's called the Bible. Let me see. That's a great thing. That's amazing, because most people at least know what it is.
So I've studied with
where
Christians,
did you start?
Baptists,
okay,
Lutherans, Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses. I've studied, I don't know, all of them intrigued me to where I would go to these studies. So I really want to get an education on what they were taught, what they believe, because it always bothered me that everybody couldn't be the same and get along and understand it one way. Because God says one Bible, one Spirit, one baptism. Hey, there's one God. Why is it, and I always struggled with this up until maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I would drive myself crazy because everybody had their own belief and they're wrong, they're whacked out of their minds, they're crazy, don't believe them, we're right, they're wrong. And it wore me out. I couldn't do it anymore. So I read my Bible. I do Bible studies with family and friends, but I read God's Word because I can read and I can comprehend. I can't remember very good now, but I read and it lays it out for you. God, it's not difficult. He tells you what He hates and He tells you what He loves. He tells you about His Son. He tells you to put faith in Him. It's not rocket science. It's love. It all comes from the heart, and I believe that's where it all starts.
Well, that was a pretty succinct Bible study in 6 minutes. Bada bing, bada boom. Open the book, read.
I love
Do you ever do that? Some days just open the book?
Give me a message, open it up. The Bible's so great too. It's a living word. You could read something 10 times over, but the day you need to read it again, and you would say, that wasn't there, but you could have read it 10 times. But that's how it works.
Right, sometimes, it's like a living document. I happen to say I like the New Testament better than the Old Testament. There's a lot of fighting in the Old Testament. I don't do the fighting stuff really well.
There are, and it's educational. Where the Old Testament is kind of a little more boring, a little more outdated, but if you get used to reading it, what's happened to me is over time, I start getting more into it. Even though I'm like you, I was New Testament only after Jesus and during Jesus' time, because that's what we're in. But the Old Testament kind of gives me just it helps me learn about God and how He dealt with things and what He expects from us, even back then. He's a very jealous God. He's the only one we worship,
Oh, this is true, right. So, bye-bye to all those other pretend things.
Yeah, and history in the Bible tells us what He did to those people who didn't believe. So it's like, okay, hey, do we really want to get this guy mad at us? Or do we just want to go through life learning what he wants, loving what he loves, hate what he hates, and help others? Because that's what it is. Because we all get more out of helping people than we do from receiving. So much better to give.
Yeah, I think all the 10 Commandments in the Old Testament, Jesus came along and said, okay, you can boil them all down to one thing. So He sort of, I usually do, can you tell me in 10 seconds what you need? I said that to you the other day about home lending.
Yeah, you did.
Can you tell me in 10 words or less? That really makes people boil down a message, and we only have 10 words. But the Old Testament, you're right, God said, I'm the only one. In our day and age, we have a lot of things that have become idols.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And I can argue that with a lot of my family who still, and again, I'm not saying who's right or wrong, because I used to think that too. I'm not the judge, I'm not judging, but yeah, the sky's open. He'll talk to you. You have you don't have to go through a statue or a God or something. You have a direct ability after Jesus. You just talk to God through His Son.
Right, you can find a nice park bench or a porch swing.
Go look at a bird. Go look at a beautiful tree.
Or look at a tulip really up close.
It's just so many things. Open our eyes. And as I get older, I get wiser, I get smarter. The better education I get out of my Bible studies, the closer I get, because I'm living a better life. Draw closer to God, He'll draw closer to you. It states that.
I just heard the other day, I don't have a clue how old you are, but are you?
50.
You are? Okay, so.
Last week.
Did you know you're in the second half of your life?
At least.
Okay.
My life, I could be in the last.
Right. Somebody just recently said to me, we have all this emphasis on youth and young people. But when you go to a movie or you go to a play, we'll say a play,
Okay.
because all of our lives are like a play. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. What happens in the first act is really important. And then you have intermission. And then you have the second act, which is where the story completes. Yeah. You've got all the setup in the front. So there is some wisdom past 50, and it's kind of a really exciting, sometimes it's actually more exciting to be in the second half of life than it is to be in the first half of life.
If you're healthy, yeah.
If you're healthy, right.
And God's great promise too, and I go back to it all the time. And it's unfortunate my wife is struggling. I teach and preach to her all the time, God's purpose for us is to live on paradise forever. We're not supposed to die. We're not supposed to get sick. And he promises us those things if we have faith and trust in him and his son dying for us. So all these wonderful things to live forever, I mean, what a gift. Without crime, without hate, without bad things. I mean, I'm all for that, because maybe a few years back in my life I wouldn't have cared, but today, I cherish life today, and friends and family.
Good. There's a gentleman who passed away, Reverend Eugene Walsh. He said, God promises you two things. Your life has meaning, and you're going to live forever. If you get a better offer, take it.
Yeah, that's a great
saying. Isn't it a great
yeah.
saying? Yes, it is.
Get a better offer, take it.
Well, so where, again, can we get the bulbs? We can go to your website.
Yeah, go to pinkbulbs.org.
Okay.
And it has a little request in there. Mm-hmm. Fill out your contact information. Put in your information. Hey, I would like you to send me a bulb, because a lot of times people will donate and they don't ask for me to send them a bulb, so I don't. I've had people come back and go, hey, I never got a bulb. Well, please put in there you want a bulb sent, or maybe leave me a little story, because if somebody out there needs help, we have some donation and some funds, and we'd be more than happy to go out and help them too as well.
Okay. So. I am going to put you in contact with the Mother's Wish people. They also have a website, and they have a Facebook page.
Okay.
And so we'll take care of that.
Great.
These tulips actually came from a very good friend of mine. I only have amazing friends, so
Good.
They came from Amazing Petals in downtown Lake Orion. I'm a shop local person. She's a wonderful lady, and she ordered these pink tulips. These are for you, but really they're for Julia.
Aw, well, I'll take them home.
That's for you.
She's at chemo today, so she'll appreciate that. I'll come home with some tulips.
Is she allowed to have fresh flowers?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? For those people who've never had to experience what happens at a chemo treatment, can you tell us, because I didn't know until my brother got sick.
Yeah, they go in. Everybody's a little different from what I gather, talking to the ladies in there, because I love to go cheer up the ladies in there. There's usually a group of 6 or 7 of them, so I like to make a lot of those. Today I couldn't because I'm here with you.
Okay.
So my mother-in-law went, which was good. But you go in a room, there's 5 or 6 ladies, all got some type of cancer, different. But you sit there, she'll sit there for 5 hours today and get the chemo treatment. It's about a 5-hour long deal. And then after that, she's fine up until maybe tomorrow, Saturday. She'll start feeling real bad, and it'll take her down for about a week. She won't want to eat. She won't want to drink. She'll want to lay there. She don't want to move. Her whole body aches. It's horrible. It's horrifying to see anybody. That's why when you go to Project Jewel's website, we decided, because of the stage 4, we want to do both. We wanted to do anything we could to save her life.
Okay.
Get the prayers, all the people praying for me, get on our knees, read the Bible. And on top of that, let's find out how to keep the cancer away. If the chemo can help us kill it, let's eat better. Let's get, so you can go to Project Jewels, and I put a lot of great study and recipes on there, things that I've researched for the last 4 or 5 months. I've spent hours figuring this stuff out with doctors, so there's a lot of good stuff on the website.
Wonderful. That is wonderful news. There is more and more research on that. Not only, chemo is horrible. My brother calls it Drano. In your blood.
That's about right.
But it does help kill some of the things, but you also have to kind of do the other things to help your body survive what's going on.
You do, and it's a fight, and it's life today. This is Satan's world, the Bible tells us. God's new world will come. It will get better. You have to have the trust. It will get better,
but you do have to have some being in the ground before blooming.
You do.
My little brother, I had a dream about him one night, and I woke up and I called him and I said, I dreamed that you were running a marathon. He doesn't run. I've run a half marathon, so I know how much work goes in it. And he showed up and he was getting his shoes on. I'm like, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm like, you've never done this before. And in the dream, I knew that he was sick. And I said, do you think this is a good idea? Well, I'm going. So I found it a beautiful metaphor. And St. Paul has his wonderful reading about, his writing about running the race and finishing. And my brother doesn't run, so I was really on the phone right away.
That's great.
Calling him. Yeah, I just told him the other day I can't go to Minnesota and be with him right now. And so I'm going to send him L and I, love and inspiration every day. Either I text him or send him
Good.
an email with
So
some
easy.
love and inspiration.
My wife loves opening cards too, or just little.
Oh,
just
cards,
that's
yes.
Wonderful.
Yes. All right. Well, I am so grateful. And at the end of this episode, we're going to have your video that you made for your wife. Tell me a little bit about the video.
It was our anniversary, and I just want to do something special.
And your 17th anniversary.
Yeah, it was. And
Okay.
So I just want to do something different. It wasn't a big 20 or 50 or 40. I'm not old enough to hit 50, but it wasn't a 10-year or something. I just did a video on what my wife meant to me at the time, you know, and how she saved me, and how she was my angel that God had sent me. So basically, it tells a little story about where I was in life, leading up to getting married to my wife, and we love to watch The Bachelorette and The Bachelor, so it kind of had that theme to it with the rose, and this was all prior to her getting sick. So some of the things I say in there are a little emotional now when I reach it back, because it brings tears to my eyes, but I still have her. We're fighting, you know, and
Good.
she's still my angel, but it just kind of roles reversed. She was my angel, saved my life, now it's my turn. So,
Good.
So I'm good with that.
And I will be praying for her.
I know you will.
Yes.
Thank you.
I will.
And
Okay.
your brother as well.
Thank you very much for praying for him.
Absolutely.
Well, this concludes our show, and at the end of this, please watch this wonderful video. Thank you so much, Tom.
Hugs.
Oh, yes, hugs. God bless you.
You too.
Thank you.
Before we met, my life was pretty much in shambles. I had a drug addiction. I used crack cocaine. I was addicted for 13 years. I hung out in rough neighborhoods. I didn't have much of a life. My family and friends kind of disowned me. Until one day, nearly 19 years ago, God led me to you. And I guess it's emotional for me to tell the story. But hey, in the end, you know, I won. You know, I got a beautiful wife that God gave me. You know, and you're an angel to me. You know, at the time, I didn't think much about it, but I was kicked out of my house. My parents had given up on me. Friends and family have all given up on me. I had nowhere to go. I had nothing. I had a bag of clothes. And I remember the day I went to the park bench. I was asking God, why me? You know, why am I this guy? Why can't I quit using? And I heard that voice, and I'll never forget the voice I heard that day. God actually spoke to me like it was somebody talking to me. And he said, what do you do for me? And I'd always ask God, why me? Why me? Why do I have to be addicted to drugs? Why am I the guy that's got the bad rap in life? And it wasn't that. I had a great family. I heard him say, what do you do for me? And it was as clear as day. And I decided to pick up the phone from this phone booth to call you because I had no one else. You got in your car, you came and found me, you picked me up, you took me in, you gave me a home, you fed me, you listened to my story. We managed to fight through it. We went to church that Sunday. I figured, let's find out who this God guy is. Let's find out what he wants out of me. Let me find out what I could do for him, and maybe something in my life would change. So we walked into the Church of Christ that Sunday, and my life changed forever, because for 13 years I tried to break this addiction, and nothing worked. But the day we left that church that Sunday morning, I never had an urge to use cocaine again. 6 months later, I won my family over again, and they knew I was getting better, staying with you, staying sober, getting clean, going to church. My mother went out with me, and we helped pick out a ring for you. And I remember I was so excited to propose that I brought it back to the apartment that day, and I couldn't wait for you to get home. And I didn't know how I was going to propose, but you walked in the door, and I'll never forget, and you were in tears. You absolutely had the worst day in a long time at work. And I remember you were crying, and I was going to do it on the weekend, but I think it was like a Tuesday night or something. And I'm like, I went in the bedroom, got the ring, got down on one knee and asked you to marry me, and you were bawling already, so you kept crying even more. It was a great day. It was, I just wanted you to feel better because I didn't like to see you hurt. You had asked me to stay sober for a year before we got married and engaged. So I did. I managed to stay sober for a year, which was a mile marker. I never was able to do that with rehab, friends, family. It was great. I was sober for a year, and then we were engaged a year. So we did it pretty smart. We had a great wedding. I remember the day. I was a little nervous, but it was a beautiful wedding. All of our friends and family showed up. I had a great reception. A lot of friends supported us. Had a great party, and then I can remember the night we got back from our wedding, we couldn't wait to see how much money we collected in the envelope. So we were headed out to Hawaii the next morning on a plane. I don't think we got 2 hours of sleep, and we jumped on a plane to Hawaii the next day for a week. And then what a time we had there too. Although I golfed every day on my honeymoon, she knew she was a golf widow at that time. Through the last 17 years, we've had our fair share of ups and downs. But we'll never forget one thing the preacher told me when we got married. You're going to have good times, you're going to have hard times. You'll get through the hard times, and there's more good times. So don't cut yourself short when it's bad, because it will get good again. We've always did that. We've never gone to bed angry. I've never let you go to bed one time mad at me, because I'll talk your ear off until you forgive me. It's just me and you. We had no kids. We got Chandler, who's our 14-and-a-half-year-old son, our 4-legged son that we love. And you're an awesome mom to my dog, Julia. We don't have a lot, but we have each other. We have our home, our health. We know what's important in life today. It isn't money. It isn't stuff. It's health, family, good friends, sobriety, and our love for one another. And it's only getting better. And I'm looking forward to the next 17 years. During a rose ceremony, somebody's heart gets broken and somebody goes home. Somebody gets to stay. During this rose ceremony, thankful for both of us. We are home, and none of us have to go. We're both here for a long time. You mean a lot to me, Julie, and I appreciate you being married to me for 17 years. You changed my life for the better. You made me a better man. And to you, I thank you for that, because without you in my life, I wouldn't have had a life, and I'd have been dead a long time ago. I just want to let you know you're the most important person in my life. I love you more than life itself. And I thank you for all the great years you've given me, and I can only hope that we have plenty more. Happy anniversary, babe. I love you. We accept this rose.